This week on BuzzFeed Unsolved, we look into a maritime disappearance so mysterious that it's unclear if a crime even occurred at all. The abandoned Mary Celeste.
Well, that sounds thrilling and potentially simultaneously very boring.
Well, it's more so that there's a spooky ship.
I do like that, I'm listening.
A bunch of spooky things happened on it.
Okay.
And there could be very scientific explanations, and then there could be other explanations.
Oh.
All right, well, let's get into whatever happened to the Mary Celeste.
On May 18th, 1861, the merchant vessel the Amazon was launched from Spencer's Island in present-day Nova Scotia. The ship was about 100 feet long, over 25 feet wide, and made from spruce, pine, birch, and beech woods.
Good wood.
Good wood, right?
A great medley of woods.
Yeah, you want a nice, you want a varietal spread of wood when you're making a vessel.
A panoply of wood.
A varietal vessel.
After difficulties launching the ship, during which some reports claim the boat refused to budge from its perch, the Amazon's maiden voyage was an inauspicious one. In what might be seen as an omen for the ship's future, the captain caught pneumonia, from which he would die.
Think of how exciting it would be to be a captain of a boat.
Oh.
Not as exciting to get pneumonia and die, but like, you know.
But here's my captain vibe, and then I want to hear yours. But here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna walk out my captain's quarters. I walk sort of to the ledge of the promenade or whatever it is there.
Yeah, yeah.
And I look beautiful. I look stunning.
Okay.
I'm glimmering.
Yeah.
And I have one hand behind my back.
We're gonna sidebar on that later, but
another one up here, like this, and I just go. And then one of the boys on the poop deck looks up at me and goes, "Captain," and I just go, "That away, lads."
Oh, I thought you were just gonna point at him to not talk to you. Like if I went, "Captain," and you just went,
"Walk the plank."
If I was the captain, I'd say, "Hey everyone, check out my new boat. I'm gonna sail it for years and years to come." And then I'd die of pneumonia.
Over the next few years, the ship was damaged on several occasions, eventually in 1867 running aground in Cow Bay, Cape Breton Island. This time, the ship was so banged up that its investors couldn't afford to have it repaired or even transported off the rocks. A man named Alexander McBean.
McBean?
Solid name. It's a solid name. I love it. It really rolls off the tongue.
McBean, what can I do for you?
Mr. McBean, the mail's outside.
Yeah, you can do that too.
A man named Alexander McBean managed to pull the wreckage from the rocks and refloat her. Ownership of the Amazon then passed to one John Howard Beatty, who sold the badly damaged boat to American Richard W. Haynes. Haynes replaced the keel and the entire bottom of the boat, added new spars, rigging, and sails, and renamed the boat the Mary Celeste, which was then seized by his creditors as Haynes was unable to pay his loans.
McBean, flipping a ship.
McBean, it sounds like, didn't make any McProfit.
I just don't know why anyone would be in the market for an old boat.
Well, it's 1861. What else are you gonna do?
Get a new one.
Eventually, the ship was sold to a New York shipping company and put under the captainship of Benjamin Spooner Briggs, a man whose life as a boat captain seemed predetermined by that name.
A schooner for Spooner.
That's good. That's
I don't
good,
think
right?
it's technically all the boat heads in the comments are gonna be like, "That is not a schooner."
I mean, look, give him a break. It was a good joke, huh?
Yeah, give me a break. It was a good joke. Let me have some boat jokes, guys.
Yeah.
What is a schooner anyway?
I don't know. What would you rename your boat, by the way?
Champion. Just Champion.
What would I rename mine? What if I called it the Sea Skimmer? And I'd stand on the deck proud like this.
You just crashed directly into a cliffside.
Ah, yes, let's skim that.
The skimmer and champion. We could be out there, I don't know how captains communicate with each other.
Oh, we could have one of those little things.
A spyglass.
A spyglass, and I'd look at you from my deck and you'd look at me from yours. And then we'd both crash into a cliffside. Woo!
Oh, Bergara!
Oh, look at that, boy on the
You've got the
champion.
skimmer out today.
Yeah, hey, wait. That looks closer.
An experienced captain with a reputation for being responsible, respectable, and deeply religious, Briggs had been a full-time sailor for over 18 years. As he prepared for his first journey at the helm of the Mary Celeste, he wrote, quote, "Our vessel is in beautiful trim, and I hope we shall have a fine passage, but I have never been in her before and can't say how she'll sail. We seem to have a very good mate and steward, and I hope I shall have a pleasant voyage." End quote.
It's creepy.
Yeah, it's
People always using the feminine pronouns for boats. I've never been in her.
Also, he's really waxing poetic for just something. I'm assuming this is something he wrote in a journal. Who writes like that in
Jesus
a journal?
Christ.
This is a journal. I'm not confirming that, but I'm pretty sure it is. The things I write in my journal are like shorthand. It's not like
I'm always like, ate tuna sandwich.
today sucks, today good. That's like mine. I'm not like, today I set voyage for Ralph's and looked out for some chorizo. And when I got it, boy, was it a pleasant smell in my kitchen that day. I beamed with pride as it hit my stomach. No.
No.
Need beer. Drink emotion.
On November 7th, 1872, loaded with 1,700 barrels of industrial alcohol meant for routine delivery, the Mary Celeste left New York City bound for Genoa, Italy. On board was Briggs, his wife Sarah, their 2-year-old daughter Sophia, and a crew of 7. In the early afternoon on December 4th, a British merchant vessel, the De Gratia, spotted the Mary Celeste about 400 miles east of the Azores, an archipelago in the mid-Atlantic off the coast of Portugal. When the Mary Celeste didn't respond to attempts to signal it, 3 members of the De Gratia were sent to board her.
Dumb as hell to take your family on a boat.
If you're an 18-year veteran of the sea, you would think like it's just another day at the office for you. It would be like you visiting Pa
No.
at whatever Pa did for Shane Madej.
I feel like if I'm married to a man who's been at sea for 18 years.
Oh, therein lies the riddle, though, because he's actually married to the sea.
Enough of the sea! Are you going on that boat?
Hell no. Here's the thing. If I see a boat that's not responding to signals, obviously you do have to send some people over.
Yeah.
But my thought, and because I'm a paranoid guy,
Yeah.
is that this ship is playing possum. And they're waiting
It's
for
a trap.
3 people
It's a
to
trap.
come over. And when they come over, then they're gonna take me hostage and then use that to get my boat. Pirates. That's
Yeah.
what I'm thinking.
Or it's a zoo boat and the monkeys got out.
Or it's a zoo boat and the monkeys got out.
I'd be taking out my spyglass, looking at that boat and saying, that boat's fucked. That'll work.
The 3 men found the ship totally abandoned. There was no trace of struggle, and the little damage the vessel showed was not severe enough to make a veteran crew of sailors abandon ship. The ship's cargo was basically intact, with only 9 of the barrels of alcohol found empty, and there was still a 6-month supply of food and water on board. The ship's 1 lifeboat was missing, along with its chronometer, sextant, navigation book, and register. No sign of the lifeboat or anyone on board was ever found. The ship's last log, recorded at 8 a.m. on Monday, November 25th, 10 days before she was discovered by the De Gratia, said they were about 6 miles off of Santa Maria, the southernmost island of the Azores. As records were generally logged on an hourly basis, it's presumed whatever happened to the Mary Celeste and its crew happened shortly thereafter.
What did the log was just like, what did it say?
I'm assuming nothing of note.
It didn't say like Audi 5000 or anything.
No, it didn't say that. It didn't say like, yo,
No.
this blows.
Looks like they all decided to be Audi 5000.
With no clear explanation for what caused the crew to abandon the Mary Celeste, the De Gratia brought the ship to Gibraltar, about 800 miles east of where it was found. A judge conducted a salvage hearing, and despite the disappearance on her seemingly doomed record, the boat was sold to new owners.
Who's buying the ship after people just disappeared from
Well,
it?
it's the same reason why dodo birds out there are buying haunted houses.
Cheap.
Yes, does this house, this property, this boat have a record for disaster and death? Sure. but who could pass up a sail?
Here's the thing. Let me state for the record, I don't believe in ghosts.
Okay.
I also don't want to buy a house that people have been murdered in.
Why not?
Because it's a fucking bummer.
That being said, it's time to dive into theories surrounding what happened to her disappeared passengers. Our first theory is pirates. It's generally believed that Captain Briggs abandoned the ship purposefully, though why is still unclear. Briggs was not only the captain, but also an investor in the boat. Since the boat was not discovered to have any catastrophic damage, pirates forcing everyone off the ship might make sense. Indeed, when the De Gratia showed up to Gibraltar with the Mary Celeste, some suspected the crew of the De Gratia itself of foul play, since finding an abandoned, fine-conditioned ship with a full undisturbed cargo was so rare. There were theories the De Gratia crew could have pirated the ship and slaughtered everyone on board. After 3 months of investigation, however, the court found no evidence that this was what happened. Despite the ruling, the company that insured the ship paid the crew of the De Gratia only 1/6 of the policy amount, suggesting the insurers were not convinced of an absence of foul play.
Yeah, like how thorough could they be back then, honestly? They're probably like, you promise? Yeah, we didn't do anything. All right, well, we're gonna pay you money then.
But not the full thing.
That'd be crazy if you were like, let's kill these people, take their ship, and get paid money for it. And then for hundreds of years, people are like, what happened?
Yeah, I know, when it was just simple as like, nice ship. I like it. It's mine now.
There's another theory that pirates could have come from inside the ship. It's been posited that the crew could have consumed too much of the alcohol they were transporting and become mutinous. 2 crew members in particular, German brothers Volkert and Boy Lorenzen, were seen as suspicious, as unlike those aboard, none of their belongings were discovered on the ship. Later testimony, however, would reveal that was because their belongings had actually been lost in a prior shipwreck earlier that year.
Kind of weird that, I guess shipwrecks were just common. You would think that's like a one and done situation where.
I mean, think about how often car accidents happen.
True, but I feel like a shipwreck is a little more absolute, no? And yes, these 2 could have been mutinous. However, I will say if they are pirates and the only thing missing from the entire ship was their belongings, pretty historically bad pirates in terms of bootying things. Could you use that as a verb, bootying, stealing booty?
Well, you have.
I did it.
I have a hard time imagining German pirates. I don't know why.
I mean, I'm gonna ask it and it's probably going to be a disaster, but I now have to hear your impression of a German pirate.
Hello.
Our next theory is that everyone abandoned ship due to a panicked miscalculation by the captain. Follow me because this theory gets a bit into the seaweeds about boat maintenance. One of the first things the crew of the De Gratia did once on board the Mary Celeste was attempt to sound the pipes to help make sure the boat was still seaworthy. This involves using a sounding rod to determine how much water had accumulated in the bilges. Something, however, was amiss with the Mary Celeste's sounding rod. The second mate of the De Gratia, John Wright, explained, quote, "There was no sounding rod but a piece of iron with a piece of line attached to it. I found no proper sounding rod. I was able to sound with the piece of iron and line attached to it. It was found lying on the deck near the cabin," end quote. The fact that the sounding rod, or at least its jerry-rigged replacement, was not found in its proper place has led experts to theorize that the rod had been dropped shortly before abandoning ship. When John Wright sounded the abandoned Mary Celeste, he discovered that the hold of the ship was filled with about 3.5 feet of water. There was also a considerable amount of water between the decks. Though this would have been a relatively large amount of water in proportion to the size of the boat, it still would not indicate a level of leakage that should have caused a panic in an experienced crew. Additionally, if the barometric pressure was low from a sudden weather change, for instance in the presence of a waterspout, it could have affected the pumps and caused the sounding reading to seem like there was more water in the ship than there actually was. Thinking the ship was taking on too much water and sinking, the captain may have thought he was erring on the side of caution when he evacuated his wife, daughter, and crew to the lifeboat.
All right.
Well, I admire your commitment to educating people about boats and sounding rods.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy, people are gonna be educated in this episode.
It's going to be thrilling right there. But it is thrilling because it's logical and it's a good theory.
It feels so premature to be like, well, the ship is perfectly afloat. My
Yes.
rod's telling me some stuff, but we can't trust my rod.
Yeah.
Let's all abandon ship?
Also,
Because then as you're moving away, you still see the ship perfectly fine on the horizon. Everyone's probably like, I think the ship's, why don't we go back to the ship? Ship's looking
pretty damn good.
choice out there.
Yeah, the ship is looking like it's floating.
Yeah.
Pretty buoyant, that ship. But also, if the idea that like, oh, he knows his ship is watertight, therefore the presence of water that he found with his little rinky-dink sounding rod would make him alarmed. It wouldn't, because he would realize, oh, the ship's watertight. That water down there is probably just from the storm that we got. The water just came through the deck.
Yeah.
To assume that this theory is true is also assuming that this captain has no knowledge of the sea at all.
Yeah. And that
To
is
me.
not true. He is a seasoned seaman.
You just wanted to say seaman, didn't you? Say seaman right now and don't smirk.
Seaman.
Oh, you did it. Okay, don't smirk like that, though. I don't like that.
Our next theory is, of course, a seaquake. According to the U.S. Naval Research Laboratory, the area around the Azores is one of the most seismically active in the world. There is evidence that an 8.5 magnitude seaquake occurred within a month after the Mary Celeste was found abandoned, and it's possible a foreshock struck the boat and went unrecorded. An earthquake at sea could have caused the ship to be severely shaken, perhaps breaking open the 9 barrels discovered empty, filling the bilges with alcohol and fumes. If there were ominous rumblings in the cargo that could signal an imminent gas explosion, it could explain the hasty departure. Admittedly, there are some problems with this theory. The 9 empty barrels did not necessarily indicate they had been broken. Instead, those 9 barrels had been made of red oak, rather than white oak like the rest of the cargo, and were more likely emptied by natural seepage. If this was the case, there would be no fumes or cause for an explosion. Additionally, the rest of the ship was not found in a huge amount of disarray. Instead, the majority of the personal belongings left behind seemed to be undisturbed and in place.
Look, we're Angelinos here. I'm a native Angelino, you're a transplant.
That's right.
Even still, we know our way around a quake. We've danced before.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, there would be some things out of place.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
And if you had barrels, there's going to be seepage. A seasoned seaman's seen some seepage.
You've done it. You've done it. Are you happy with yourself?
It's fun to say.
It is pretty fun to say.
But yeah, but a quake at sea?
Kind of hard to decipher that with, with the waves and such.
Yeah, like
These
how
waves
does it-
seem a little more wavy.
Yeah, doesn't the water just sort of absorb that?
I would think so.
I mean, water's not going, you know.
I've never been in an earthquake at sea, but I have been in an earthquake in a tub.
Oh, what was that like?
The water was all shifting around, and I was like, whoa! I was floating around there like Paddington Bear.
Was Rubber Ducky there?
Rubber Ducky was not there.
Oh.
It was a hot tub, though. It wasn't like a...
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
That sounds dope.
It was crazy.
I'd be like, oh, yeah, baby.
I was in there like, oh, better not spill my beer.
I don't want to spill my margarita.
I had to move it around like this to regulate. It was great. Anyways, I don't know if I really buy this one either, based on the state of the ship.
Yeah, it sounds dumb.
This indeed does bring up the question then, what happened to the crew?
Our fourth and final theory is that the crew of the Mary Celeste was abducted by aliens, or attacked by a giant sea monster, perhaps an octopus with giant limbs.
Wait, are you actually going to do this? What are you doing?
I'm citing the theory.
The floor is yours.
That was the end of the theory. But I mean, like, wouldn't it be crazy if they got abducted by aliens or like a sea monster? Like a big octopus took its, like, grabbed them off? You know? Look, I've looked on a lot of boards and a lot of people think that since you crossed off all the logical boxes, aliens is the only thing that makes sense. They got in the lifeboat to try and paddle away, but they just couldn't paddle fast enough. You know what I mean?
Them getting in the lifeboat negates the aliens thing entirely.
Does it?
Yeah.
It? Well, then what happened to them?
Monkey.
It's those damn sea monkeys.
Maybe they had a monkey on board.
What if they got eaten by crabs?
That'd kick ass. I mean, not for them.
No. Yeah, I mean...
Imagine if the crabs ate them and then were just taking on the roles, like one crab is captain, another crab is captain's wife, a little baby crab.
Jesus Christ.
But they're surrounded by half-eaten bodies.
After the Mary Celeste's infamous disappearance, John Dewis, the son of the man who built the ship, said of his father's vessel, quote, "This craft seemed possessed of the devil to begin with, but where she got it, I don't know," end quote. While we can be somewhat confident that the Mary Celeste was not possessed by Satan, what actually happened to the 10 passengers who set sail aboard her that November of 1872 remains unsolved.
Ain't no devil ain't possessing a boat. Too hard, too big.
You know,
you gotta possess every plank of wood. You put a barrel on the boat, what, the devil's possessing that too?
Yeah.
And what about all the successful things the boat did? I'm sure there were plenty. What, the devil's making spice runs?
You know what irks me about this one?
Huh.
All of the logical theories don't make sense, and none of the supernatural ones even make sense. So what the hell happened to these guys? Because, like, yes, it's a very funny theory to posit aliens, but like you said, a lifeboat doesn't make a lot of sense when it comes to an alien abduction, nor does it make sense when you're battling like a sea monster of some sort, which some people online have posited both of those theories.
Yeah, this is a weird one in that usually when we get to this point, we're like, here's my favorite.
I don't have a favorite here.
Yeah, it's freaky, man.
I guess the pirates, maybe?
Yeah,
But no signs of a struggle.
No signs of a struggle, and they didn't seem to take anything.
Well, there couldn't be any pirates back then that know like Krav Maga or something like that, and they could like Jason Bourne these guys, like with precision.
Roll up a magazine? Or a spyglass?
Roll up, beat the shit out of a captain with his spyglass?
Yeah.
You would think there'd be glass though.
You'd think there'd be glass.
Anyways, it just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Either one, they had a monkey on board, or two, the insurance thing where those guys maybe, but then, I don't know, because then if it was them trying to get the insurance money for the boat, the rescuers, why are you shoving them onto the lifeboat? Because then what if they make it, unless you killed them all, threw them in the ocean, and then just detached the lifeboat.
To make it look like they were going.
Yeah.
But then there would probably be, well, I mean, no signs of a struggle. What does that mean? Like,
It's a head scratcher, Ryan.
I don't get it. It's gonna drive me nuts. This one drives me nuts.
Yeah.